Hello, my name's David Smith and I'm Chair of Examiners for GCE Art and Design with Pearson Edexcel. In this video I'll be talking through an A-Level Photography Component 1 submission of a student called Eve who meets the exceptional performance level descriptors in 4 of the assessment objectives. This component achieves a total mark of 81 out of a possible 90 marks and includes the mark for the personal study. At the end of the video I'll show how the performance calculator can be a useful tool in arriving at assessment decisions. In this coursework component, Eve has explored literary subject matter through her own photography and film by interpreting texts such as The Great Gatsby, Frankenstein and Paradise Lost. The first few pages of Eve's sketchbook document her responses to short, centre-initiated exercises at the beginning of Year 13. Like the starting points in the exam paper, these are intended to generate ideas and create possibilities for students to pursue and develop later as they take ownership of the direction of their coursework. Eve's early work gives an indication of her critical skills and creativity. Examining a photograph by Russell Lee of an abandoned musical organ on a farm in Indiana, Eve makes the following comment: "Music from an organ is beautiful and eternal, and brides will walk down aisles to its tunes for years to come. But here one lies, broken and hollow. No matter how much we revere something or how grand its pedestal is, eventually it must rot and turn to dust." In response to this image, Eve photographs a burning Matrimonial Causes Act from 1973, which was the legislation that kept same-sex marriages illegal in Britain until 2013. She comments, "I've burned this act to prove the symmetry between the indestructible and the destructible. We should never make the mistake of assuming what is set in stone or written in law is forever, because this piece of paper and the words printed on it that cause so much suffering are as flammable as any other piece of paper or any other words." This sparky ability to think laterally and to articulate imaginative and poignant creative intentions is also apparent in Eve's reinvention of Velázquez's Rokeby Venus. On this she comments, "By covering up in an oversized dressing gown that's definitely not figure-hugging and replacing the mirror in the original image with a laptop that doesn't reflect my appearance, I wanted to demonstrate mine and other girls' reluctance to be comfortable in our own bodies, even in the comfort of our own bedrooms, for fear of society's judgment." The themes and ideas which Eve goes on to develop begin to form in these early centre-led activities. Eve writes, "I realise that by bringing an old master into the 21st century, you give a piece new themes and ask questions that wouldn't even be possible to ask in the artist's time." At this stage in the course, Eve sets out her creative intentions in a 1-minute film pitch to prospective organisers of a hypothetical photographic exhibition.
I'm absolutely fascinated by films and the way they kind of suspend your disbelief like only dreams can. I just think it's amazing. I have particular interests in the way books can be lifted by filmmakers and put on the big screen.
Can't repeat the past. No. Why, of course you can. Of course you can.
For my photography, what I essentially want to do is I want to do what filmmakers do. I want to take these old classics my generation might find uninteresting or tired, and using cinematic techniques give them new life and completely re-engage in the audience. I want to take books like The Great Gatsby or Frankenstein and make them new again.
Here, Eve demonstrates an authoritative command of the audio and visual components that make up film and an intuitive appreciation of pace and editing techniques which she uses to get her message across in a very convincing and engaging way. In her stills photography work, Eve considers The Great Gatsby and Frankenstein. Eve's sketchbook notes demonstrate a sensitive appreciation of the original Great Gatsby text and the more recent film version by Baz Luhrmann. Her comments reveal mature critical insight and refined creative thinking. Eve is a student who selects and edits her work as she goes along, so documentation of her working processes is succinct. The images and commentary documenting her response to Frankenstein illustrate her ability to explore and experiment with the medium and evaluate and refine her methods. There's a creative energy that comes through in her comments here, a willingness to take risks and try out possibilities that's guided by genuine enthusiasm and awareness and understanding of the text she's reinterpreting and the ways that visual language can be employed in photography and cinema. This level of insight has come from extensive and engaged research. Eve goes on to explore female archetypes in film and literature. She looks at Milton's representation of Eve in Paradise Lost, and after watching a 6-minute experimental film called Freefall about the Genesis story, student Eve decides to work with film for her final coursework piece. This explores different aspects of biblical Eve's character. Evidence of different possible locations are scouted in her book, along with notes and comments outlining her intentions in the use of sound, editing, lighting, etc. The resulting film is a personal, ambitious, sophisticated and engaging synthesis of the ideas that the student has explored. Eve's dexterous use of lighting, mise-en-scène and pace cleverly conceal its shoestring budget.
Empress. The way it's spreading. Queen of this universe, do not leave those rich threads of death. How should you? By the Force. It gives you relief.
In summary then, of Eve's practical work, for AO1, the development of ideas, she scores 17 marks. Her work can be described using the performance calculator with the level 6 words and phrases such as inspired, authoritative, genuine discovery and comprehensive contextual references. Fluent sensitivity and understanding is demonstrated in Eve's commentary and in her developmental approach. For the other 3 assessment objectives, Eve's scores fit into the lower end of band 6, with 16 for each. Again, descriptive words and phrases such as inspired, authoritative, highly intuitive, insightful, fully informed, questioning, dexterous and erudite all aptly describe her performance. Eve's personal study is a well-written consideration of photographic war propaganda and representations of heroes and villains. The links between this and her practical work become apparent in her analyses of the symbolism traditionally associated with depictions of good and evil. Her preoccupation with the symmetry of opposites runs through all of her practical submission and can be traced back to her earliest work. Eve's personal study is thoughtfully crafted in terms of its structure and sequence. She eloquently defines her intentions, saying, "In this essay, I aim to uncover whether or not there are certain surefire photographic techniques and practices that can convince the masses that a character, be they real or fictional, is either morally corrupt or morally correct." Eve nimbly steers her inquiry through a range of diverse examples, both real and fictitious, that she analyses and interprets in detail. Her conclusions are deftly supported with appropriate contextual information and research. The points made throughout and in her conclusion are personal, powerful, and convincing. She concludes by saying, photography has the power to recognise true heroes and expose dangerous enemies. In the wrong hands, it can show you a hero where there is a monster, and turn a scared group of people into a threatening force. Eve's references to the alarming racist slurs on social media posted in response to the film American Sniper show a student who is very sensitive to the volatile and topical currency of the issues that she addresses. Words and phrases in the performance calculator, such as authoritative, adventurous, challenging, fully informed, questioning, dexterous, erudite, intuitive, highly articulate, and sophisticated, all accurately describe Eve's performance in the personal study, which scores 16 out of 18.